Welcome back everybody to a Mysidia video, and it's been a while, I have to say. And for those of you that didn't see any of my community posts, basically I had a concussion, it went away, I was very careful, I played soccer again, and it came right back without any incident that happened in the game, and I had a couple of rough weeks in a row. But I am now feeling really good. I've been back to screens and watching things and playing things, etc. So it's finally time for me to start making content again, which is really, really exciting. So in order to kind of get my feet wet, whet my appetite, whatever you want to call it, I decided that I'm just going to do kind of a roundup video where I just discuss kind of all the things going on with me right now, whether it's about content creation or not, and I'll round off a list that I have here, and then we'll go from there, and I'll start hitting you up with some regular videos soon enough. So the first thing that I wanted to ask is, how are you all doing? Because it's been a while. I want to know what you guys are playing, what's kind of new with you, and what kind of videos you're hoping to see coming up here, because maybe, just maybe, I might make a few of them. So with that said, let's talk about me. So I'm back on screens, as you can obviously tell. I have a freaking ring light looking at my eyes right now, so obviously I'm feeling pretty good about it. During my downtime though, it was 0 screens, which is crazy. I mean, I was doing a little bit of screens at work, but I was even avoiding that. And I read a lot. So I read The Hobbit, I read The Fellowship of the Ring, I'm moving on to The Two Towers. I also built and painted a lot of Warhammer, which was super fun, and I'm overall really pleased with my recovery. I actually played another soccer game today after missing about 4 soccer games, so it was time to finally get back on the field, and things went really well. My head feels amazing right now. My ankle, not so much. I kind of have, long-term ankle problems from playing soccer from one specific incident, and they are very much still with me. But everything's going well. Like at work, I was wearing these, well, I have the case right here, like these blue light glasses, which I hear maybe don't even work at all, but the placebo effect sure worked, because I felt good when I was wearing them. And I would put earplugs in at work because, as you can imagine, in a high school, it is super loud. Like these students come in, maybe they're just loud to each other, maybe they're really loud because they're excited to tell you about something, or maybe they're just all talking at the same time. And I was actually, like, day in and day out, I was wearing full earplugs in my ears. I could still hear everybody, but when I took them out, it was crazy how different it was. So it really was effective. But at this point, last week, I went to work without the glasses or the earplugs, and it went really well, which was, all a sign of me stepping it up. I've been going to the gym every day if I can, riding the bike, and otherwise doing yoga and other things to prepare me, going for a run, runs to prepare myself for soccer, etc. So things are going well. On another note, last night I went over to my twin brother's apartment, and that's right, if you didn't know, I have an identical twin brother that's out there. We can call him Twinsidia, I guess. That's Logi's nickname for him. But either way, I was at his place, and we watched 6 out of the 8 episodes of Castlevania Nocturne on Netflix, and it was awesome. I just finished it right before I recorded this, so all 8 episodes done, and now I really, really want to go play some Castlevania games, and I might just do that. I don't know how I'm going to fit it all in. Maybe I can play one. Hopefully they're on Steam. I'll check it out after this. But either way, my brother was telling me, well, man, hey, bro, you should be making some Castlevania Nocturne videos. And I'm not really sure if that's what I want to do with this channel, but I mean, I certainly could see myself doing that. So maybe it's like video game adjacent, that it still fits. I don't know. I think that maybe would mess up the algorithm, but I'm like actually thinking about it now. Either way, really, really enjoyed the show. And if you haven't seen the Castlevania series, there's 4 seasons of Castlevania on Netflix, and then there's 1 season of Castlevania Nocturne, which is a different main character, but still within the kind of timeline of the show and the series. And while seasons 3 and 4 of the original show were hit or miss, let's say, overall this series is worth watching and has some really good animation, music, and voice acting and other things. So highly recommend it. But we'll see if that kind of factors into what I'm doing here at all. Another big update for me is that wrestling season is starting, and if you've been on this channel for a long time, then you know I'm a wrestling coach for high school, and that when that starts, I generally slow down a little bit. We'll see how that kind of factors in, because I've already been as slow as I possibly could be by not putting out any videos. So if anything, it will seem like I speed up. But either way, right now I'm going to be coaching 3 days a week. I'm going to try to get that up to 4 days a week if possible. But you know, I hope my students have never noticed my channel or like found my channel or anything because I'm about to roast them. But students are not generally as committed as they used to be. Like it was no questions asked for me to wrestle like 5 days of the week, 6 practices a week. And I'm not asking the students to do that. But part of it is that there's literally so many other things, like not even talking phones for a second in video games and all those like social things. But there's literally so many other clubs, extracurriculars that you do outside of school. Everybody has lessons and other sports, and like everything's being offered these days. So it is way harder to build a committed team than it used to be. And that's not just in a fringe sport like wrestling, because I know the Americans listen to this, it might be like, well, hold on now, is you know, wrestling fringe? And I don't think it is. From what I understand, in the States, it's still like very, very popular, but in Canada, it's absolutely on the decline. And there's many reasons for that, but it is difficult to build a program. However, that being said, we have a massive team this year. It's going to be a big test to see if everybody sticks with it, because no matter your intentions, your toughness, etc., the very first time you get into a match, if you make it that far, maybe you quit before that, but the very first time you get into a match and someone is full on shoving you, pulling you, throwing you, tackling you, all that physicality, and it's not a practice setting. Like it is, you're going all out. People react very, very differently to that. Like some kids cry. I know I cried when I lost my first match. I won my first match, didn't cry, lost my other match, and I did cry. And I got over that pretty quickly. But like, you just don't know what that's going to evoke for you. Some people are not comfortable with that. And we do see like a drop off in people after that, which is why we try to make sure there is like prepared as possible before they get in the ring that very first time. Either way, I'm going to try to go 4 days a week if I can, and that way I can get my wrestlers in tip-top shape with the other coaches that we have, because we have some incredible coaches that I'm super excited to be working with. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be at all 4 practices. I'm going to be going super hard. Because I go all in, I lead by example, and I try to be on the mat there too, as long as I'm healthy. So I'll be working hard the next, I guess, 3 months, like 3.5 months of the season, and then that season's over and it goes back to being a little bit more chill for me. I feel like my posture keeps dipping, so I'm going to adjust my mic here. Okay, that's fine. So otherwise, in between my concussions, because there was this brief period where I was feeling really good, I actually beat the first game on my backlog, which is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Not the Final Fantasy VII Remake, as you know, many of you now know that the game might be going in a slightly different direction than the original, and there's all sorts of theories about that. I'm not really going to get into that in this video, and if you haven't played it yet, then you know, you probably should go play it. I will say that I absolutely loved the ending. I loved the Shinra Tower. I thought that was my favorite part of the game. The actual overall game, though, I mean, there's a reason why it took me is it 3 years since it came out? Jesus. Yeah, there's a reason why it took me so long to beat. There's a reason why my brother hasn't even like played it and beat it yet either, and that's because a lot of it was kind of monotonous. It's like I was at 36 hours or something, and I didn't do everything, and a lot of that spent in Midgar. And I thought Midgar, and I think some people are gonna hate me after I say this, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. I thought Midgar was overall like very disappointing, in that most of it was a lot of running around, and like a lot of the boss fights were very cool. The boss fights were either super hype for me or like absolutely god awful, and I just wanted it to end because the regular combat was better. Now, that being said, the combat system was the single best part of the entire game for me. I really, really like how they married the action and ATB systems into one thing. I thought that was excellent, but I'm thinking of like specific bosses, like in the Ghost Train, like there's parts of the fight where you're not able to attack, and I absolutely hate that. You know, when they're just taking the game and taking it away from you, or things like the motorcycle ride fight thing, which was fun, but I just thought too long. Like at a certain point, I'm like, oh man, this is so epic. I'm like living through nostalgia right now. And then I'm like, okay, well, this is still going on and it's not that hard, but I'm just like having to do this. And you know, the more time I spend not playing your game as the way it was intended is you know, not good for me. So I mean, the single biggest disappointment was Wall Market, and I know people liked it. I thought that it really didn't vibe with me in a lot of ways. There were cool parts of it. I thought the arena was really cool, although I didn't like fighting the Hell House. I thought that, you know, some of the new characters, not even new, just like more fleshed out characters they introduced were cool in the wall market. But overall, the market itself and exploring it, didn't really enjoy it, and the music was just awful. Like, really, they went from this like kind of fun theme and this like edgy setting to it sounding like it was like a children's carnival song. And again, I'm probably pissing somebody off here, so you know, enjoy that, go stew with that for a while and then come at me in the comments. But either way, like, I'm just being honest. There were just huge chunks of the game that I had to slog through. And that's not why it took me 3 years. I could just get so busy with work, with wrestling, with all these things that I put the game down. But the game wasn't like pulling me back into it, because there are games that have done that. Like even Sea of Stars, which wasn't perfect, I didn't want to stop playing. I wanted to beat it. And I was during the startup of my school year, which is one of the single most busiest parts of my entire year. But I still found a little bit of time to play it each night, whereas Final Fantasy VII Remake kind of did not pull me back in, and I had to actively decide to go back in when I did play it. And that's why there were such long breaks before I actually finished it. Okay, so now onto my backlog, and so what I have here, I have Final Fantasy 13, which I started playing in the summer when I had more time. I want to go quickly finish that because I'm actually really quite enjoying that. I want to finish Jedi Fallen Order, which I've always loved, but I kept putting off because I wanted to, I just kept telling myself, I'm going to finish one game first. I'd like, Mysidia, you got to finish one game first. And I would go play the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And we all just talked about how that went. So I also have Alliance Alive, which somebody in the comments recommended. I'm sorry, I can't recall off the top of my head who it was. They said, hey, check out Alliance Alive. I checked it out. It was on sale for like 75% off. So I bought it on Steam. So I have that as well. And I very much want to play the Star Ocean Second Story remastered, as well as Baden Kaitos, remastered, or Bat 10 Kaitos, whatever it's called. Someone tell me that I'm saying it wrong, and then someone else say that I was saying it right. Look, you guys figure it out. Just divide your rules and get in the comments. So I also have Tales of Arise, which I have not played, because again, one thing at a time, Mysidia, but you know, obviously that's a huge game that I want to get around to playing as well. And ideally, I'll play some of these games on stream, because for about a couple of months now, maybe 3 months actually, I've had really bad internet problems. Again, for those of you that don't know, I live in a boarding school where my wife works, and we are in a staff suite in the boys' dormitory. And the internet here, I am just straight up at the mercy of the internet supplied to me, and it has been god awful for 3 months. And so finally, I got an IT person up here. They took a look at my computer. They did some stuff, and I finally have internet that I could actually stream with. Although it does decrease when the kids get out of classes and get access to the internet. So I have to kind of time when I'm able to actually stream, but we'll see how that all goes, and see if we can get people in there and you know, talking and stuff. And then finally, I'm also very curious about Warhammer Age of Sigmar Realms of Ruin for PC, but it's quite expensive. It's like a full price $79.99 game, and I'm not really sure it lives up to the price tag based on the demos and the beta that I played. It's not a bad game, and that's why I'm really curious about it. And the story and the music were the two most intriguing parts for me, but unfortunately, they just really priced it super high, and I think they're just banking on, you know, people wanting a good Warhammer game, and it's a little bit disappointing that they've done that. I think they kind of came in a little bit too hot. That's my personal opinion. Of course, I haven't played the game entirely, so maybe it is worth $79.99, but at this day and age, when there's lots of games releasing for underneath that, then it's kind of harder to make that choice, especially when you don't have that much time. And then finally, in terms of videos I want to make, well, basically all of the above in terms of what I've talked about in this video. So I talked about wanting to play the the Baden Kaitos and Star Ocean games, and I want to review those both as well. When I play Final Fantasy 13, I'd love to do a video on my thoughts now that, you know, I've I played it on launch, and then now I'm playing it like, what is it, 10 years or more later. I'd love to actually, kind of go through my thoughts on that and how the game changed for me. And I'd also love to talk about any other games that I'm playing. So hopefully all of those things come to be in the future. I'll also be talking about games that are yet to come out that I'm very excited for, and any sort of game news that I find interesting. And of course, you can always ask if you'd like to see something specifically, and I can go ahead and look into that. And depending on kind of how much time I have, I might have to do, more talking head videos to get some like short-term content out, because anything that requires me to capture gameplay is just a little bit more involved, both on the filming and the editing side, but also having the time to actually play the game. And like I said, I also have to be coaching right now. Well, I want to be coaching right now because I just freaking love wrestling. I love coaching. And I'm running clubs too. But also I've just got, I've got a busy year. We got report cards are coming up, and I'm also a teacher leader in my school, which basically means that I, applied and got a kind of like a leadership role within the school to do a little bit of extra work for a little bit of extra pay. And so all that type of stuff adds up, as you can imagine. Okay, great. So that's the roundup. That's what's happening with Mysidia, which is me. And hopefully you're all doing well. Again, let me know in the comments below. And otherwise, it just feels good to be back. Oh man, I can't wait to put out more videos. So thank you so much for watching this one.